Hi guys, Luton here, and back for some more Arma 3. Now, one thing I want to talk about is actually one big change that I feel would make a massive difference to ZEUS gameplay in Arma. ZEUS continues to be a really fantastic tool to create live scenarios for you and your friends, and I do this every week on my live stream. This is a bit of raw gameplay from the live stream, and what I wanted to highlight is this right here. Okay, so when you can edit troops and tell them to move around. So look at this guy right here. I'm trying to get this guy to retreat. He's part of a sniper team, and he's just been, his sniper companion has just been taken out. I'm trying to give him orders to move down the hill. But notice the kind of, the pausing and the hesitation here before he starts to move away. It takes a moment for him to get on with it. And this is something that comes up very often. People very often are telling me things like, hey, you should do defense missions or this or this or this. Something that people regularly don't understand is that the AI don't really behave all the time or respond exactly to ZEUS commands, and often one big factor there is whether or not they're in that combat status. So you generally have safe, casual and aware. If you're using the Achilles mod like here, you have also careless, and there's also the stealth stance. So those are they're sort of unit stances essentially, right? And those stances determine how the AI are going to behave. If they feel safe, they're going to behave in a safe manner. They're not going to run around and be generally sort of panicking. If they're cautious, they're going to be sort of searching and looking for enemy and maybe ready to sort of take action. And if they're in combat, they'll move in a combat way, moving from cover to cover, and they'll obviously engage targets free at will. One big change that needs to happen in Arma is that units need to have a designation, something called override or ZEUS or command or something. It needs to be something where the AI will ignore all other parameters that are happening around them. And the reason for this is, as you will see, if your AI units get engaged by human players in a ZEUS mission, but again, as I say, it doesn't have to happen always with my ZEUS missions. This can apply to anybody that's ZEUSing for friends and so on and so on. You may want to preserve those units. And this was something which was said in my comments about retreating. Well, let's see how practical those retreat mechanics are, and let's see what happens when I actually try to get these guys to pull off the line. The guard infantry. Move, guys, move. Disengage right now. Come on, go. Like, see, the guys, this is the trouble. Like, see, I tell them to run, and they don't. They won't go, because they're, like, in combat mode or whatever. Go. Look, this is why you should have a frickin' override button for ZEUS. Look. Go. Run away. I'm telling you to run. Go. Go now. Fucking hell. Fine, don't go away then. Just shoot back or whatever. At least go prone. I'm just going to move this guy so he's not lying right in front of his friend. So what you can see has happened right there is I try to get those guys to move, but you can see that they just will not have it. They will not obey, and it's because they're under fire, they're in combat, and unlike a human player who just thinks to themselves, right, we've got to get out of here because we're taking a lot of fire, let's get a move on. The AI don't behave like that, so they have a set of rules which determine what they're going to do. Now look at these guys right here. These guys aren't in combat, and I've just told them to like change formation and move, and then I'm also setting up a suppression target for them to fire at. So again, they have followed my commands up to the point where they actually are engaged with the enemy, and that's the trouble is that the AI will behave and they will do what you tell them to do sometimes, and they also would tend to do that when they're in a safe position. But watch what happens here. You know, they're obeying me up to this point and they will engage this unit right here. Let's see this. Come on, guys. Holy shit. That's so funny. Using that full auto fire is like really hilarious. Okay, so again, what we saw there was the AI obeying my commands, and so I got them to move down the hill, suppress fire, and then these guys here, I just kind of let them get on with whatever they want to do at this point. They start moving down towards this little gully here to take some cover. But the point is that there are many, many situations where you want to tell AI, hey, go here now. You want to tell them to move to a specific point. It might mean that they're pulling out of combat. It might mean that you just specifically want them to run towards a target. So say, for example, there's many missions I've done where, you might have reinforcements drop down, and those reinforcements have to get in onto a position. Or what about this? If you want your AI guys to storm a bunker that's crewed by human guys, or get up a hill, or clear through forest really quickly without being cautious, or very often when AI take fire, they will hit the deck immediately, and then they just stay there. They'll just sit there and they won't do anything, and then they become basically targets for the human players who are far more intelligent and will just outsmart them. But when you have ZEUS, you have the opportunity as ZEUS to supplement some of that AI intelligence, because as a human you are obviously understanding, hey look, this is a situation now where those guys need to move away. This is a situation where you can capitalize by an opportunity and attack. There's different scenarios for that, and that's part of the fun of the ZEUS missions. Now, you could potentially say, well, look, if you want to get to that level of sophistication, why not just have PvP? It's a fair point. You can obviously do PvP in Arma as well, but a lot of these kind of ZEUS missions, they're great because you can play with numbers greater and reinforcements greater than you could do in a PvP situation. And there's obviously a lot of other factors and engagements and just different things that can happen. Also, for example, remember that a lot of the time when you're doing ZEUS missions, there's kind of like a narrative around it, and those AI units are often standing around for long periods of time and they're not doing anything. It's unlikely you're going to get human players who are very happy to sit around for 50 minutes, an hour, just waiting for engagement, and then they just get killed one time and that's it, they're out of the game. It's like not so much. So it doesn't really work in those ways in terms of supplementing that. But what you could do, just by having a very simple stance button, okay, that one little stance button change that says you can override their commands. You can tell AI, look, go here and forget about everything else. So that's what it should really be, is that it should be just like a follow command, like I say, an override button, which tells the AI to ignore all other things that are happening. So in terms of, maybe they could, you could set them so you kind of override with no fire or override with fire or whatever, but basically something which just means that if they're taking live fire, they will run past it or they will ignore it. And this is possible. This is possible because when I was still doing videos and working with the guys at Hoyworld, I actually had some units which were scripted for me, which meant that I could place those units down using just their code, and they would ignore incoming live fire, which means that, it's a powerful tool. You can get them to assault positions better, you can get them to move around better, and all of these different things. But, having just an icon on the stance menu which you can toggle on and off, that would be really, really amazing as a tool. And that's one of the things, I think that's one of the biggest changes that I think needs to happen with ZEUS. I think it would have a huge impact, and it's actually a very small thing, in the scheme of things, like making a change like that, because basically all you're telling those units not to do is to just disobey what their current commands and stuff. And this can happen for sure, because we already know this can be a thing, because with Achilles, you can set them to have a careless stance. And when they have a careless stance, they don't give a damn about anything, but they also kind of just wander around and they don't really run or move in that behavior. We've tried to experiment with that. So they need basically a button which tells them, look, still behave like infantry, still maybe take cover and be cautious, but at the same time, sort of get to your target as quickly as possible, and generally don't stop to return fire. Really what we just want is some way of making sure that the AI will stay on the move and actually get to that position that will, if you put down smoke, for example, you can get them to break contact and actually get them to pull off the line there so that you can, get them into a better position or something like this, just to have that extra control, just to get them to move around better, and that will have a huge impact on missions, because it means that when people want to do, like, for example, a defense mission, if you do a defense mission, the guys will actually be able to send AI at them in a way that's way more aggressive, because that's the biggest problem with, for example, trying to do a defense mission where you're trying to hold down a position. The AI tends to just ignore that, and they won't sort of go in for that. And I'll just say one last thing. I know that people are going to say, like, oh, well, there's other things that you can put in, like, so there's different kind of advanced intelligence mods for the AI. And those things do help, but there's a problem with advanced intelligence mods for the AI, which is, when we've done this in modded missions before, what can often happen when you have advanced intelligence for AI is that they behave more intelligently, but they also tend to ignore ZEUS commands even more. So for example, if I say to a group of AI and we've got an advanced intelligence mod turned on, and you literally want them to go from like A to B, or there's you can see where the enemy are, and you think like, okay, I'm going to get my guys to move towards them over there. You tell them to go A to B. Well, what happens is they go to A to B, but via C, D, E, F, and G. They'll kind of go like right out round the houses, and they'll take this really roundabout route. And there's no real way you can tell them to go directly. They just you tell them what you want them to do, and then they just kind of decide of their own accord what they're going to do there. And to a degree, that can be very interesting, but to another point, it can be very frustrating because often they put themselves in stupid situations, or it takes too long when you can see like, hey, look, this would have been far better to just get that done quickly. So, there needs to be choice there, and I think honestly just having like an extra stance button in there which you can toggle on and off, and it just tells them, hey look, for this command or for this order, please ignore this completely, and then once they get to that position you just toggle it back again. Something like that would be a really powerful tool to have in the game. Okay, thanks guys, that's this video. Please tell me your thoughts down below about commands and just generally the kind of elements that you want to see with ZEUS. And also guys, do you think that ZEUS is going to be like an ongoing developmental element of Arma now? Because Arma's been around for obviously quite a long time, and Arma 3 has been out for like 3 years now, and ZEUS has always been there, and I know a lot of people use ZEUS, and a lot of different groups use ZEUS, but I think more than ever with the next year coming up, I mean there's going to be big DLC packages coming up for Arma in the next year, and there's nothing listed really for ZEUS in there in terms of improvement. I think it would be fantastic to see some improvement with ZEUS, and obviously I say that because it's a big part of my YouTube channel, it's a big part of my live streams, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. But I actually personally feel that ZEUS is becoming a bigger thing more than ever, and a lot of people are getting into it, and a lot of people are loving it, and I think that it'd be great to kind of schedule in some little changes and updates for ZEUS through the next year in terms of all that other content package as well. So interested to hear your thoughts about that down below, and whether you think it's a good idea. I imagine obviously people are gonna say that because if you're watching this channel you probably love ZEUS as well, but nonetheless I would like to hear, do you have friends and do you use ZEUS with friends, or are you part of a group which uses ZEUS a lot, and expand a little bit beyond yes I think this is a good idea. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time for some more Arma 3 ZEUS.